So, what's going on? Well, here's one answer.
So they're going to stand in solidarity with their Indigenous brothers and sisters and all people of colour. No place for racism. And the knee is an expression of that support. Strength and diversity, making for a better football community.
That was in response to the George Floyd death a couple of years ago. They were kneeling to show response for the death of a violent thief on the other side of the world. How does that make for a better football community? More like a smaller football community. To keep up with this idiotic zeitgeist, every major sporting code in Australia has embraced this new form of racism, patronising some players as if their skin tone was some sort of disability and their achievements worthy of extra respect. The implication is that the fans, well, the white-skinned ones anyway, are to blame because they're racist. No wonder people are switching it off. Here's another answer. The Manly Sea Eagles NRL team tried to force players to wear a Guernsey that symbolised gay pride. Earlier this year, 7 players refused and coach Des Hasler called it an error by the club that, quote, caused significant confusion, discomfort and pain for many people, unquote. Hasler was sacked 3 months later, despite still having a year on his contract and having won 2 premierships for the club on the field and 2 as a coach. These days, woke politics trump sporting success every day of the week, no matter how much of a legend you are. Sporting codes are surviving these days mostly on the back of advertising from betting companies, which is another point of disagreement with the fans. The Sydney Morning Herald reported this week that a survey found a whopping 62% of sports fans think the ads from betting companies need to go. Now, there's a test for the sports administrators. Ditching the betting agencies, and they'd have to ditch their lucrative salaries as well. Australia's love of sport was also usurped by something even less healthy earlier this year. Many Australians and the media cheered when Novak Djokovic, one of the greatest tennis players in history, was booted out of the country for daring not to disclose his COVID vaccine status. Sometime between the early 1980s and this year, we went from a nation where a random spectator at the MCG could take a classic catch between tokes on a ciggy to a country that was afraid that a healthy sports star would discourage others from taking a vaccine to prevent a virus we knew was little worse than a common cold. The consequences of this for our health are serious, but for our culture, they're even worse. Sport used to be a unifying force for us. It was part of being Australian. But that was before sporting organisations started calling us all racist and shoving political messages down our throats. As a result, we're now unhealthier and less unified as a nation. As I've said before, sport is inspiring enough without the politics. We should tell the administrators to get the hell out of politics and tell the players to just shut up and play.